Welcome to the Explainer. Listen, I have a blunt truth to share with you today. The traditional enterprise security perimeter is fundamentally dead. That boundary you thought was keeping your corporate data safe? Yeah, it's gone. Today, we're unpacking a crucial piece of research titled Beyond the Perimeter: The Evolution of EDR and XDR Architectures. We're going to look at exactly why the old ways of defending a network are failing spectacularly and what the modern digital fortress actually looks like.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for rebuilding your understanding of modern cybersecurity from the ground up. The death of the perimeter, the vulnerability gap, EDR for behavioral endpoint defense, XDR for system-wide transformation, and we'll wrap up with the critical business case.
Section 1. Death of the perimeter. The end of the castle-and-moat.
So, for over 25 years, organizations built a castle and moat. They spent massive amounts of time and money building a strong outer wall using next-generation firewalls and then deployed traditional legacy antivirus. It acted a lot like a bouncer holding a VIP blacklist. If a threat's static signature was on the list, it got blocked. But look at the modern threat landscape. Today's intruders are practically invisible. We're dealing with polymorphic malware, code that actually changes its shape and signature every single time it executes. We're facing zero-day exploits, where no patch or signature even exists yet. If the hash doesn't match the old legacy antivirus database, the file just waltzes in and runs with full system privileges.
Section 2. The massive vulnerability gap. Invisible intruders.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how legacy antivirus creates a massive blind spot. Because it only checks for known disguises, it's like a thief walking right past a guard just because they're wearing a trusted business suit. They walk right in unquestioned and are handed the keys to the building. This leads to a frankly terrifying fileless attack tactic known as living off the land, or LOTL. Hackers aren't even dropping malicious executables onto your hard drive anymore. I mean, why bother? Instead, they live strictly in your system memory. They weaponize the very tools your legacy AV trusts implicitly. They hijack legitimate built-in administrative tools like Microsoft PowerShell or Windows Management Instrumentation. Because PowerShell is a trusted system utility, the legacy antivirus sees it running and thinks, oh, everything is fine here. Meanwhile, the hacker's executing malicious commands in plain sight, completely blinding the security team. It's literally like the call coming from inside the house.
Section 3. EDR. Behavioral Endpoint Defense.
So how do we close this terrifying visibility gap caused by fileless malware and 0 days? Well, it takes a massive paradigm shift. Legacy AV is really just a basic padlock on the front door. It's highly reactive and only cares what a file looks like. But EDR? EDR is a continuous, 24/7 black box flight data recorder coupled with an active internal security guard stationed inside every single machine. EDR does not care what a file looks like, it cares about what a file actually does. It's a total shift from static signatures to behavioral heuristics. To understand what a file does, an enterprise-grade EDR agent continuously records system telemetry. It tracks process executions, registry modifications, network socket connections, and memory dumps across all endpoints in the environment. It uses machine learning to baseline what normal behavior looks like. For instance, let's say a standard user account in the marketing department suddenly opens PowerShell, attempts to dump the local LSSS memory, which is a common way to steal admin credentials, and then tries to establish an outbound connection to an unknown external IP address. EDR sees that sequence not as individual benign actions, but as a highly anomalous and dangerous chain of events. And here is the true power of EDR. It goes way beyond just warning you. It provides active containment. Within seconds of identifying that malicious behavioral pattern, the EDR agent can automatically isolate the infected host from the rest of the network. It immediately cuts off that compromised laptop, preventing the hacker from moving laterally to your corporate domain controllers or file servers. The beauty of this is that while the attacker is locked in a box, your Security Operations Center team can still securely connect to that isolated machine remotely for forensics and remediation.
Section 4. XDR System-Wide Transformation.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Because while EDR solves the endpoint visibility problem for your laptops and desktops, modern enterprises don't just exist on local computers anymore. We're dealing with a sprawling ecosystem. We have cloud workloads in AWS and Azure, SaaS applications, identity providers like Active Directory and Okta, and email gateways. This creates a massive visibility silo problem. If an attacker entirely bypasses the local laptop and hits your cloud identity directly, an isolated EDR agent sitting on a workstation sees absolutely nothing. You are blind all over again, just in a different part of the network. This visibility silo is exactly why organizations are scaling up to extended detection and response, or XDR. XDR unifies telemetry across all these layers. Imagine a complex attack happening right now. Step 1, a targeted phishing email is delivered. Step 2, 5 minutes later, boom, there's a foreign country Active Directory login using that compromised user's cloud identity. Step 3, an unusual cloud data export occurs shortly after. Individual siloed security tools might treat these as minor, unrelated low-severity events, but XDR ingests all this log data into a centralized analytics engine and correlates these disconnected puzzle pieces in real time. It sees the entire multi-stage supply chain breach happening in an instant.
And because it sees the whole picture, it can execute an automated corporate-wide response. When XDR recognizes that unified breach, it doesn't just isolate one laptop. It acts globally across all layers. It blocks the user's compromised account in the cloud, drops the malicious firewall connection, and purges that initial phishing email from all other corporate inboxes, all at the exact same time. It stops a sprawling, multi-layered attack absolutely cold.
Section 5. The critical business case, financial survival.
This isn't just about cool tech. For the CEOs and CTOs watching, adopting this architectural framework is not just a standard IT upgrade. It's a critical risk management decision to prevent catastrophic operational downtime, massive compliance fines, and permanent damage to client trust. So, the crucial point is this transition, months to minutes. Legacy security solutions are purely reactive. They require an attack to succeed and be documented before they can defend against it, often leaving intruders undetected for months. EDR and XDR shift your organization's posture from reactive firefighting to proactive resilience. By automating threat containment, you drastically reduce your mean time to detect and mean time to remediate from months down to just minutes. That is the ultimate business value.
Let's reflect on this quote from the source material. Building a true digital fortress requires moving past legacy signatures and adopting behavioral, cross-layered defense systems. We started this explainer talking about the old castle-and-moat. Well, the castle hasn't disappeared, but the way we build the fortress has completely changed. Securing modern infrastructure requires continuous behavioral visibility.
Which brings us to our final, critical question for you to consider. Are you still defending a castle that's already been breached? Take a hard look at your organization's defenses today. If you're still relying on static padlocks to stop invisible intruders, it is for sure time to reassess your architecture. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep building those digital fortresses.